Hi everyone, my name is Astrid. People call me Madam AO. I am currently here at UW playing tennis and learning and growing every single day. I really love food. I really love dancing. I really love music. And I love my friends. I love my family. I love learning new things and talking about things that you otherwise wouldn't talk about. And I'm really glad that I could join my friend here today on this podcast, and let's get into it. Just the mentality of like wanting to succeed, wanting to be great at what I do has probably led me here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating because I'm like, there's a few different nuggets I've heard in that, your response. Nuggets. I feel like I said that to you on the phone. You were
I was like, what are you talking about? Chicken nuggets? Like,
It's like nuggets. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there were a few gems, should I say, from your response. And one in particular that I'm hearing is pressure.
Yeah.
And being raised in a sense to you're good. Being raised in a sense to be able to carry pressure.
Yeah.
And sounds like your mom, with the immigrant experience, is not foreign to you, should I say.
Yeah.
Like being able to go from home elsewhere for the hopes of something greater, reaching to something greater, has been a model for you with your mom, for example.
Right.
But her emphasis on still reaching higher was carried on to you.
Yeah.
And your brothers, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then at the same time, having to carry pressure to be mindful of the future. And that's what I hear you saying about like between birth to 10 years old, it's like innocence. And then it's like 12 years old, figure out
what
life.
what am
I do next? Talk to me a little bit about that, like carrying pressure. And even like you said, being on the court where it's like me against you. If something happens, it's on me. How do you manage that, and how do you create a capacity for that? What does that look like for you? Pressure.
I think it's so mental. You know, it is what you make it up to be. It's your own mind. If you want to be free and play free and have fun, you will find a way to do that. But if you let yourself go into like the external things and listen to what other people say and think too much about like success and like income and whatever, like that can get you. But you just have to like learn how to manage your own thoughts, feelings, emotions. And I think like education these days do a poor job of that, to be honest. Like there are so many courses on like history and stuff and math and science, which is great.
Yeah.
But where's the course on like self-management and like thoughts, emotions, and how are you going to like manage this body, mind, heart, you know? I think we can do better there. Education.
Yeah. It's like, come on, education. Come on, institution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that when I'm hearing you talk about pressure and thinking about managing pressure mentality, I think mental is definitely a part. But I think about a moment in my life where I felt like I was void of grace, in the sense of feeling as though I had no room to fail. Could you relate to that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I have to be on my P's and Q's. T's need to be crossed. I's need to be dotted.
Yeah.
But that is really overwhelming. And we put that on ourselves.
Yeah.
And so talk to me a little bit about that time in your life. Or is that something that you're still working through?
Definitely.
Yeah.
My coach would know. I'm always like, well, it's not perfect. It's not the way that I see it be, you know. It has to be a certain way in my head for it to be great.
Were you raised like that too?
Yeah.
I think it's a Black mom thing.
Maybe. Probably. I love you, Mom. But no, I don't know. I just want everything to be like perfect so that I can have like, you know, the most success that I can. But as I'm like playing and learning and growing in this program here at UW, which I love, I'm learning that it doesn't always have to be perfect, and you literally can't control that. Like, you can just control what you can do, and then whatever the outcome is, welcome it with open arms. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
No,
that's real, because I felt like during that time where I was placing so much pressure, and again, we didn't even plan to talk about this, right? This isn't even in the questions, but it's how it's flowing. During that time where I had so much pressure, and I had placed pressure on myself because of perfectionism, I felt like things needed to be a certain way, and I was raised around perfectionists. People who worked really hard and were very diligent on things being a matter of excellence. And so when you're seeing that, subconsciously, like, there's like children, we talked about innocence earlier. Children are like sponges. Like, they pick up things that, whether it's like something that's communicated or something that's like modeled for them. And so I feel like I definitely picked up on the perfectionism stuff. And in picking up on that, it led me not to base my value in the sense of like everything that I need to do is perfect or I'm worthless, but everything that I need to do needs to be at this standard or there's something wrong with me. Not realizing, like you're saying, you have these experiences where things don't go as planned. Your job is to do what you can do and surrender the outcome. And so it took time for me to get there. And I remember mentors saying to me, like, it's not on you, like that, you can't control that, or you need to give yourself some grace, like things are going to happen. And so, I'd speak that to you as well, because I know it can be tricky, and especially when you're trying to do stuff that you haven't seen done before. You know, that's a whole nother level.
I think it's also a part of just knowing what you represent. Like, I grew up like in a white community. I was kind of the only black girl there. And like, I didn't really feel aware of it then, but I know now that that's probably what it was also. Like, I felt like I had to be such a good representative of like me and my people, that I wanted everything to just look like queen things, you know? But yeah, that kind of responsibility shouldn't really like lay on me, but it just does. Just because of the way the world is and where I grew up and where I am currently.
I think that's such a good point to touch on, because when you reach a certain level of access and you're in spaces that people look like you, who look like you haven't been able to historically occupy. And then when you're in those spaces, you feel the need to make sure that there's not a poor understanding or misrepresentation of that. Because this could have been people's first time interacting with someone who looks like you, someone from your background, from your community. And so there is like this sense of like needing to be the spokesperson. But you're right. Like, that's a lot to put on somebody. And ultimately, I think that what's helped me in not feeling the pressure, the bearing the brunt of being like the black girl for all black girls, like especially with our class, we were the only 2 black girls. It's like one of the first times I've had that. And I think it's allowing yourself to just make sure you master you, be authentic and true to you. And once you get that, then someone's going to get to know that, whether they want to know you or they want to see your whole community through you. But like, master self, you know? But I feel that, it's pressure. It sounds like you had pressure from a lot of different ends. You had pressure as the daughter of an immigrant who, like you've shared before, your mom is just incredible.
I love her.
And talking about being the only girl out from brothers. That's a whole thing in itself.
You know, I wouldn't have it any other way though. I love my brothers so much. I do, but like sometimes I just want to punch them a little bit. So
they got you rough around the edges.
They did.
And then being an athlete where you're in an arena where it's literally a pressure placed on your ability. So there's a lot of pressure there. And that's something I definitely didn't think about before. But it's like walking and living through that pressure. I'm sure that translates into your personal life off the court.
Right.
And finding means to be able to master self, you know?
Yeah.
Like you share with me, being intentional about being present.
Yeah.
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 So I want to talk about remembering the major transition and choosing to come to the U.S.
Right.
Do you remember that moment of like, now it's time to go?
To go. I do. I finished high school and I was ready to go pro with tennis.
How does that process work?
It's kind of different from what you like usually see with like football and basketball, like American football and basketball. It's you don't get drafted. You're literally on your own, like, and you just like train as hard as you can to get as good as you can, and then you enter tournaments wherever the tournaments are. Like they can be in Norway, US, Australia, like wherever, and it's like a whole like system. It's called ITF. And then you just go and play tournaments, and then you just go win matches, and then the more you win, the higher you climb on the rankings. And when you get a high ranking, you can like start playing Grand Slams and stuff, which is ultimately the goal for me after college. So yeah, I wanted to go pro. I unfortunately had an injury, many injuries on this girl. Yeah, it's been kind of tough, but managing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I decided to take a gap year and just like recover from the injury and figure out what I wanted to do. And I had a lot of like offers from different schools, and I didn't really understood like what does that mean, you know? What is college tennis like in the US? Like is this even a thing? Like when I came here, I was so surprised. I was like, whoa, there's like crowds and like everyone's so invested, and it's like affiliated with the school, and because we don't have that at all in Norway. It's literally just university, people study, and maybe there's like some club teams, but it's not like a thing at all in Norway and Europe, I think, either. So
wow.
I went on a visit and I committed to my previous school, but then I transferred here, as you know. And honestly, I'm so glad I made that decision, because I wanted to go pro, and I was like, I don't need education. I was like a little like, but now, bless, like I needed that education. I needed every experience that this place really has given me. So good, for the good and for the bad, honestly. Like what you do with that is just grow. Like don't crumble, you just grow.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's educational for me. I'm learning a lot right now.